Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video I am going to be putting together story number 4 in my December daily album for 2020. This story is all about the new ornaments that we purchased for each of us this year. This is one of our traditions. We will always go to a Christmas store here in Michigan, and we walk around the whole thing and pick out an ornament for each of us and let our kids pick out their ornaments for them as well. Well, except for Jonah, who right now is a little bit too young for that, but normally in the future years he will be allowed to pick out his own too. However, this year, being the COVID pandemic, we were not able to actually go to the Christmas store this time. So instead, we just ordered them online and picked them up earlier this week. So I have a picture of all 4 of our ornaments here just on a flat lay. And then I have individual pictures as well. And these are going to go in my spots over here. Now, this star page over here was one of the pages I made for Product Play 4 with Allie Edwards. So if you'd like to see how that comes together, and I also have, I believe I have templates that you can download and use in order to get your stars the exact same sizes as mine on that lesson or in that lesson. So what I'm going to be doing today, I have 2 templates that I can use for the middle pictures. I'm going to be cutting these individual pictures into this template shape, adding them into the middle of the stars, putting a little bit of journaling in each one, and then that's pretty much going to be it. This is going to be an easy one. So I will put you guys on fast forward, go ahead and get this page put together, and then we'll slow back down once we have the page ready to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get all of these photos placed where I want them to go, and to start figuring out how I want to cut them to get them into these shapes. Now, when I actually did my star page, I did not pay attention to the orientation of like where the points were necessarily. So the insides of my star are all, like I have to use that template to figure out which way it actually fits in there. Then I can take that, put it on top of my photo, and trim it out with my scissors to make it into that, I think it's called a pentagon, right? If there are 5 sides, pentagon, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so so then I can trim it out into that pentagon shape. So I'm just trying to keep my photos oriented so that they are up and down, so like the ornaments aren't upside down or anything weird like that, and they fit inside of that shape. So for these larger photos, I printed them at 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, knowing that that was going to be bigger than my template here, and it would allow me to have the wiggle room to move it around on the image. Then I had to make sure that my ornament was smaller, so that it didn't take up the whole picture and that it was in the center. That is how I'm able to make sure that the ornaments are fully inside of those pentagons. Now I'm going to move on to working on the smaller ones, again doing it in the same way, just making sure that everything fits in there and that it's oriented the way that I want it. And then once we get this done, I'm going to move to the left side of this spread just to get those cards done first. I want to lightly embellish them. There's that space at the top of the Here's the Story card that is blank, and I don't necessarily like it blank, so I want to figure out something to put there, and then possibly putting an embellishment on the layout picture there, or the flat lay picture with all 4 of them. But at this point, I don't really know what I want to put there. I just know that there's a lot of white space on these 2 pages, and I want to do something in order to bring a little bit of dimension over to the left side as well. So now we're going to move on to that. For the flat lay photo, I decide to grab out some of these tiny phrases or refrigerator tiles, I think is what they're called, because I like that they pull in that copper color that is very similar to the glitter stars on the right side of this page. I picked 2, one that says happy and one that says memories. So it just says happy memories, and I will put those at the top of the picture. Then for this Here's the Story, I played with a couple of different ideas. I debated between this wood veneer piece, and then I'll also grab over some thicker chipboard pieces to see if I like that there. The reason I ended up not picking one of these chipboard pieces is because, again, it's a white background with red writing, so it doesn't really use up or take up any of the white space, whereas the wood veneer piece does, and I kind of like the way that it brings in another texture onto this page. So this is what I'm going to go with, is this Merry and Bright wood veneer piece, which came from the Ali Edwards main kit. I also debated using some of the leaf type shapes from the puffy sticker set. I don't know, this one threw me for a loop of what am I going to do on this particular card. I think one of the ways that you could totally use that card in a different way would be to add some smaller journaling into that top spot next to the Here's the Story, and then to actually put an image in the larger portion at the bottom. I think that would have been a great way to use that card as well. So now that I've made my decisions, I'm just going to get everything adhered on. I am using my roller adhesive to add some adhesive to the back of these little tiles to add those onto the page. And then same with the wood veneer piece. The roller adhesive works perfectly fine with things like that. And then I can add them into the pages, the page protectors, and then we'll move on to the interactive side. This is a lot of times how I end up working in albums like these for both my December Daily, my Week in the Life, and my story albums that I work on throughout the year. They are kind of a mix between the out of the pocket and interactive pages and then in the pocket simpler pages. I usually like to have a little bit of both with most of my spreads. So I originally thought I was just going to hand write my journaling underneath my photos there. I wrote the first one about my husband's ornament and decided that I hated the way it looked with my handwriting. The pen that I was using wasn't doing an even amount of ink, and that bothered me. And then I just didn't like the way that it fit in there. So what I decided to do was to take those templates once again, trace them in pencil on some plain white cardstock, and then I ran that through my typewriter so I could add text with my typewriter into those I want to call them a hexagon so bad, into the pentagons. I did make markings of where the brad is going to go through. That way I can make sure to not get my text too close to that point. I do a little bit on this one about Izzy's ornament. I know what it says, so when it swivels later, I totally know what it says. But I should have started probably one line lower than I did. So then once I get that trimmed out, make sure that it all stays in there really nice. And I did trim off the trace, like the shape that was traced, because that would have been slightly bigger than the shape itself. So then I could take the journaling, go ahead and adhere it into the spot, and then put the photo on top, poke the hole through that as well. And then I can add my brad into this little section here, and I've got one swivel that is fully functional. So I'm going to do the same thing with all of the other stars here. What do I want to note about any of this? I guess when you're doing this, one of the things that I didn't think about before, but I'm glad the way that this turned out, is when I have those star points, which are all made out of cards or cardstock, pattern paper, that sort of thing, it creates a little dip on the inside. So when I was originally thinking of adding my text into that dip and then having the photo fit into the grooves, it would catch a little bit when I was turning it on the page. So by typing my text on a separate piece of cardstock, cutting that out and adding that in here, that then becomes what goes inside of the groove. So when I have my photo on top, it actually swivels much nicer than it did had I not had that in there. So it just kind of worked out. That was not at all what I intended for this page, but I'm kind of glad that it worked out that way because it just makes everything much nicer in the end. In terms of the tools that I'm using, I've got this poker tool, or awl, that came with my Sizzix Stamper Secret Weapon. That is a pack of supplies that is no longer available. They discontinued it, but I definitely love having a tool that works like that. I love having an awl that I can use to poke these holes. If you don't have a tool like that, you can also use a push pin. That's something that I used to use when I did stuff like this. That works totally great. And what else? Just really anything that's pokey, but a lot of times I go with the push pin or this awl. And there we go. So that gives us all 4 of those pictures. I'm going to bring over my book here and put everything back in, and then we will go ahead and slow back down for you guys. This is where I show you, yep, here they all move. You'll see that this one, the text is a little close to the top, but it's okay. We can still read it well enough. And then the last one there. So everything else worked out perfect in terms of the text placement. All right, friends, so that finishes this spread for today. I think that this came together really cute. So over here, we just have the lightly embellished photos and journaling, and then I've got these 4 swivel spots that give a little bit more detail into why we chose the specific ornaments this year that we did. So I think that that is really fun. And I like having spots of hidden journaling in here as well. So the last thing that I have to do for this video with you guys is to read my journaling. If you don't want to listen to that, then I will see you guys with tomorrow's video, which is going to be all about a hot chocolate bar that we are setting up this weekend. So hopefully I will see you guys then. And for those of you who do want to hear it, let's go ahead and read through it. So my story says, I should also preface this by saying that my prompt that I chose to write this story with is I want to remember. So that's what I used to help guide my storytelling. So I said, I want to remember that 2020 was a year of so much growth in our family. This was a year that sent us home to develop our hobbies and encouraged us to find new ways to achieve our goals. This was a year where my wildest dreams were fulfilled as I connected with new friends and saw this hobby that I love so much open door after door for me. This was a year where Aaron learned how to brew his own craft beer from home with his brother, and where we've had the absolute delight of tasting their amber ale, IPA, and stout, plus the barley wine that Aaron and I brewed together. This was a year of Isabella learning how to be a big sister. It's been such a blessing to see them connect and play with each other. This was a year of Jonah growing into a true toddler. He learned to trust his body, began to talk, and found an obsession with cars along the way. We've grown so much this year and so much stronger as a family. I want to remember and be grateful for the blessings we've received in 2020. And so the little journaling bits about each of us does somewhat correlate to the ornaments that we picked, at least for Jonah and Aaron. Izzy went kind of random this year, and I'm a collector of Santas, so I wanted to get a Santa this year. So that does it for today. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this process video and got a little bit of inspiration for stories that you can tell, or maybe a journaling prompt that you can use next time you are writing out your story. If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see all of my crafty videos coming at you this month. And if you have the tradition of getting an ornament every year, what ornament did you choose this year and why? Tell me in the comments down below. All right, you guys, so until tomorrow morning where the next video will come out, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you in that video. Bye now.